yourself, who you are, and we can change it as you grow and get married, as you go to school, as you go to work. Expect for it to be a very, very fluid document. Future plans. At some point in the future, my goal is actually to put the document on the internet so that family members can access it. You'll be able to change your own entries when you want to. You'll be able to add pictures, copy documents. We're away from that goal, but at some point I think that would be appropriate. Try to do something, definitely do something that's of limited access, so that it would only be family members who would have access to the information. And I'm hoping that maybe one of my children who already have technology skills that greatly exceed my own will someday be able to help me with that. But that's the future goal of the Family History Project. At the outset of this project 6 years ago, a friend of mine cautioned me about my excitement about delving into my past and perhaps preparing me for a huge disappointment. I mean, beyond that royalty thing. Over the past 6 years, as I've traveled the country on business, I've had the opportunity to meet, drink with, and eat with family members. And I got to tell you, I've come away so incredibly impressed with what Seidenspinner family members are doing with their lives and the contributions that they are making to society. And I don't want to get overly sentimental here, but over the past 6 years, I've had plenty of opportunity to think in particular about our ancestor, Magdalena Banghard Seidenspinner, and the incredible courage that it must have taken to leave all that she knew in that lovely Sickingen Valley. And do you realize, on April 19, 1887, exactly 121 years ago today, your ancestors and Magdalena Banghard Seidenspinner got on a boat to come to the United States of America. Today is the 121st anniversary of that voyage. That family sailed across an ocean in search of a new beginning, with Magdalena as their head. And I know that it must have been hard trading that very, very agrarian life for the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And it came at great cost, because as I point out in the family history document, 6 weeks after arriving here, her youngest son, young Edward, who was then 8 years old, was run over by a delivery wagon and killed in front of the family's tenement on Pitt Street. But I look at what's been accomplished and the opportunities that have been given to our family members, the risks they took, and the hard work that they had to do to make themselves successes here in the United States. And it's very, very clear to me that God has blessed this family then and now in a very, very extraordinary way. So I would like to thank you all for taking the time to come here together to meet as a family for perhaps the first time in at least 27 years, maybe together as an entire family for the first time in perhaps 100 years. And I would like to thank you all for the privilege of being your self-appointed family historian. Thank you very, very much. If anybody has any questions at all, I will try. Sometimes you look at the document. Yes, sir.
What made her leave? Was it the family?
I visited Flechtingen this past September. I was doing business in Europe, and I motored to the town of Flechtingen and met with Seidenspinners who still live there. You call way back, my great-great-grandfather Edward, who was married to Magdalena, was the mayor of the town of Flechtingen. And in 1883, in July, he fell out of a cherry tree onto a beanpole and impaled himself. Magdalena was 3 months pregnant with Franziska Seidenspinner, who then became Franziska Barcher. So she's a widow now with many children. And Edward had a brother Adolf. That family stayed in Fleckingen. There are members who have come to the United States. I have traced all of them forward, but figured I wouldn't confuse anybody any more than they might already be confused with the family history document. But there are family members, there are Seidenspinners who still reside in Fleckingen. And I spent the day with those members in September. And that was a question that I asked. What would make a widow with that many children leave? And it was her guess that it had to do with the lack of work in the area and the fact that Edward was a farmer. So in addition to being the mayor of the town, there was a farm to be run, and she surmised that it was very, very difficult for Magdalena, with a lot of daughters and sons who were younger than the daughters, to run the farm effectively. And so that was sort of an economic issue that caused them to consider coming to America. But there was nobody there in the town who could conclusively say, this is the reason why, and there's nothing in the town records, because they had searched them for me, to indicate why she left.
Did she have a sponsor here to go to when she got off the boat?
There's nothing to indicate that. Now, the family came through Castle Gardens because Ellis Island didn't open up until about 3 years after the family got here. So in those days, the boats came right up to Manhattan, and you came off the boat right into the Lower East Side. And we know that we had the family's addresses because of the various marriage certificates and birth certificates that we have from the first years that they were here. I believe it's Avenue A, which is down on the Lower East Side, where there are tenements that German immigrants lived in at that time. That was called Kleine Deutschland, Little Germany, because of the concentration of the German immigrants. So I don't believe she had a sponsor. The Funk branch, Katharina and Jacob Funk, sponsored members of the Adolf Seidenspinner branch when they came to America in the 1920s. There was a Maria Seidenspinner and an Anton Seidenspinner who came then. And so the Funks acted as sponsors for, again, they were probably distant relatives, sort of distant cousins when they came to the United States during what was a very, very hard time in Germany after World War I. Any other questions? Yes, Laura.
What was the population of the town that she came from?
Currently, or
when she left it?
Hard to say, because there are no census records. Oh, I'm sorry. She asked what was the population of the town, Fleckingen, at the time when she left. I'd say the older houses are clustered around a very, very large common area of fields. And so if I had to guess, in the town itself, maybe there would be 150 to 200 families.
And how old was she?
She was born in the 80s, so she was probably in her late 30s. Late 30s, early 40s. Well, I can tell you exactly. Why be exact? She was born in 1844, and they immigrated in 1887. So math's never been my strong suit. Someone else. That's the Wheat-Krauss gene. But I've been to Fleckingen and Sickingen. They were two separate towns. They have since sort of grown together in this valley. Very, very prominent are the churches, and I have pictures of the churches, the brochures that I picked up when I was there, pictures of the